So over the course of the last little while, we've been connecting with worship leaders, and what's been emerging and what we've been hearing is that there's just this need to start talking again about worship values, right? Worship values in the Vineyard in Canada. The context of our communities has really shifted a lot just with the changing world that we're in. And what does that mean for worship? And what does it look like to be super intentional about who we are in our worship in the communities of worship? And so that really was the underlying drive for being able to step into this process of creating these videos and starting the conversation about values. And so just a couple of things that I wanted to say about that, why we approached this the way that we did. We could have tried to do just a kind of, here are the worship values of the Vineyard and just teach about them. But we recognize that values are actually not taught. They're observed, right? Like there's no such thing as an action that's not a values-driven action. Everything that we do is driven by our values. And so what we really wanted to do is to think about, like, what are those things that are so important, particularly within our Vineyard family? What is so important about worship? What is beautiful about worship? And to start to just have a celebration of those things. And by no means is this a comprehensive, like, here's the teaching on intimacy, or here's the teaching on the value of whatever, but to start the conversation for you so that you can think, hey, what is it that I mean when I say intimacy in worship? And so this idea of beholding something, what the encouragement is that you can take this and actually begin within your own communities to begin to behold these things and see, what do we see as we consider these different values? So here we are. The context of this is that we've just had this amazing weekend together, really diving into what matters most to us in worship. And what I can tell you is that it's been an incredibly rich time for those of us who were here in this space. And I want that for you. I want that for your communities. And so the invitation is that use this as a starting point, and then have all of these conversations with your worship communities. It is so rich. It is so beautiful when we hear one another's perspectives. And the other thing that we know is that this is not a one size fits all, right? Like, we're not McDonald's franchises here. Every community is different and has some subtly different values as well. There's such a thing as rank ordering values based on what's going on in the world around us, based on what we really need in our communities. And so for some communities, truth-telling might be right near the top of what is most important in worship right now, being honest and vulnerable. For others, it might be intimacy or celebration or lament. And so if we can be intentional about these things and understand, why are we valuing this right now in this season and putting a bit more emphasis on this over and above this other thing, it's okay to do that as long as there's intention. And so really it's the invitation to be really thoughtful about that and to look for common language and to understand, hey, like, when I say this, I mean this. What do you mean when you say that? That conversation, that is so interesting, and it will result in beautiful fruit in our worshiping communities.